A month ago, my mom called me in a panic. My dad was in the ICU. I dropped everything, rushed to the hospital, and 8 hours later, he was gone. Just like that. No last words, no final moment of clarity, just a machine flatlining while I held my mother as she sobbed. I thought grief would be the hardest part, but I was wrong. My father's death was just the beginning. 2 weeks after the funeral, my mom and I sat in the lawyer's office, expecting to hear the standard stuff house goes to her. Bank accounts split, maybe some sentimental items mentioned. But then, the lawyer hit us with this bombshell. My dad had a whole other life, a secret second family, a woman he had been supporting for over 20 years and 2 grown children I had never even heard of. My mom went ghostly pale. I could feel my stomach drop to the floor. The worst part? He left them half of everything. The house? Sold, proceeds split. His business? Transfereed estate given to his other son. His savings? Divided between us and them. My mother sat in silence, staring straight ahead while I exploded. Who the hell were these people? How did we never know? And then the lawyer said something that made my blood run cold. They're here, they want to talk. I didn't want to meet them. I wanted to scream at them. I wanted to burn down my father's memory for what he had done to my mother. But before I could walk out, they walked in. A woman around my mother's age stood at the door with 2 people beside her. A guy, maybe a few years older than me, and a younger woman, looking barely out of her teens. They looked nervous, unsure. And then the woman, the one who had been my dad's second wife in everything but name spoke. "I'm sorry for your loss," she said, her voice shaking. "I lost it. Sorry, you stole my father. You ruined our family. And now you want his money too." But then the Sonhe's son looked me dead in the eye and said, "We didn't steal him. Your mother knew about us." My world shattered. I turned to my mom, expecting her to call him a liar, to say this was all some disgusting scam. But she just sat there, silent. The son kept going, voice bitter. "You really thought he was working late every night? That he had so many business trips? Come on. Your mother knew. She chose to stay." I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just about my dad betraying us. My mother had known and stayed? I turned to her, my voice barely a whisper. "Mom?" Finally, she spoke. But what she said made everything even worse. "I had no choice." My mom looked at me, her eyes hollow. "I found out when you were 10. 10. That meant for 13 years, she had lived with this secret. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't. He controlled everything, our money, the house. If I left, I had nothing. And he promised me, he swore he would end it. But he didn't. Instead, he kept up the facade. 2 families, 2 lives, and my mom trapped. I felt sick. I had spent my entire life looking up to a man who was nothing but a liar. And my mom, she had let me. But the final betrayal? She still wanted to keep quiet. She begged me to drop it, to not make this a scandal, to not tell our relatives, not fight the will, just move on. I couldn't. I wouldn't. So I went scorched earth. I told everyone, the whole family, friends, even his business associates. His perfect image? Shattered. His legacy? Ruined. And my mother? She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "You've destroyed me." The other family? They're furious, think I ruined their lives too. My mother? She won't even speak to me. My own relatives are split. Some say I did the right thing. Others say I should have protected the family name. I don't care. My father built a life on lies, and if no one else was willing to expose the truth, I would. But now I'm left wondering, did I do the right thing, or did I just become the villain of my own story? When my ex-husband left me for a 23-year-old, I barely reacted. I was 42. We had been married for 15 years, and we built a life together. I was there when he lost his job and cried in my arms over it. I was the one who supported him financially when he wanted to follow his dreams. I picked up the slack when he had a midlife crisis at 40, started running marathons, and suddenly became obsessed with new hobbies. And yet, the second he found himself in the arms of someone younger, I became disposable. His excuse? We've grown apart. You deserve someone who makes you happy. It's not about her. I just need to feel alive again. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I let him walk. And guess what? He thought I'd sit around and cry, that I'd grow bitter, that I'd slowly morph into the lonely, miserable ex-wife he could feel sorry for. But instead, I went out and lived. And when I started dating someone younger, suddenly, I was the villain. He's 27, funny, confident, and actually makes me feel seen. We met at a coffee shop completely random. I had spilled my drink, he handed me a napkin, we started talking, and before I knew it, we were flirting like teenagers. I thought, why not? I had spent my entire adult life being the responsible, supportive wife, making sure my husband's needs came first, sacrificing for our family. And for what? To be tossed aside like an expired coupon? So when Liam asked me out, I said yes. And let me tell you, he treated me better in the first 3 months than my ex did in our last 3 years. He listens when I speak. He plans dates instead of leaving everything up to me. He touches me like he actually wants me, not like I'm just an obligation. But of course, the second people found out. My sister? Oh my God, don't embarrass yourself. What could he possibly see in you? My friends? Isn't he just using you? My daughter? Mom, this is kinda cringy. And the cherry on top? My ex-husband. The same man who left me for a woman half my age had the nerve to say, I just don't think this is a good look for you. A good look? So, let me get this straight. When he dates someone young, it's about happiness and new beginnings. When I do it, it's desperate and pathetic. But the real drama didn't start until Liam met my daughter. I have a 19-year-old daughter, Emily, and when I told her about Liam, she flipped. Are you serious? He's closer to my age than yours. Dad's an idiot, but that doesn't mean you have to be too. This is just a phase, right? I told her the truth. I like him. He makes me happy, and I'm not going to apologize for that. She didn't talk to me for 3 weeks. Meanwhile, my ex, still flaunting his Barbie doll girlfriend, who has now quit her job to focus on her relationship, aka live off his money. But somehow, he's the respectable one. It gets worse. One night, Emily invited me to dinner. I thought it was just us. Nope, it was an ambush. My ex was there, his girlfriend was there, my sister was there. The second I sat down, I felt it. The judgment, the pity. Then my ex clears his throat and goes, Look, we're all just concerned. This isn't you. His 23-year-old girlfriend, who has been in the picture for exactly 5 minutes, nods and chimes in, You just deserve someone mature, you know? Oh, I lost it. So, let me get this straight. You, a grown man, can date someone who wasn't even alive when we got married, and that's fine. But when I date someone younger, it's embarrassing? Silence. Then my sister, bless her hypocritical heart, adds, Well, it's different. Men age differently. Oh. I laughed, out loud, in their faces. Then I stood up and said, You know what? I'm done explaining myself. Enjoy your dinner. And I walked out. Emily didn't speak to me for a while. My ex had the audacity to text me later and say, I hope you think about what we said. But Liam, he was right there when I got home, held me, let me vent, and then said, You don't owe anyone an explanation for being happy. And you know what? He's right. I spent too many years sacrificing for people who didn't appreciate it. I'm done. If I want to date someone younger, I will. If I want to travel the world and act like I'm 25 again, I will. If I decide to marry Liam and have an even younger husband than my ex's girlfriend, I absolutely will. And when his new relationship inevitably crashes and burns because, let's be real, I'll be too busy living my best life to even say I told you so. The world lets men have midlife crises, sugar babies, second chances. But women, we're expected to shrink, fade, and quietly grow old. Not me. So if you see me with a 25-year-old next year sipping margaritas in Greece, just know I'm finally living. I will be very grateful if you subscribe to our channel.